Good evening. We'll call Personnel Committee meeting to order. Roll call.
Ms. Richards?
Present.
Ms. Dominguez? Present. Mr. Westmoreland? Mr. Toller?
Here.
And then Mr. Westmoreland has it.
He's here. He's here.
Okay.
Let's give him a second.
Present.
At this time, we'll consider administration approval of the recommendation.
I would like to, can we vote on these, item A separately? Do I have to make a motion to do that, Ms. Jenkins? In other words, not accept the whole A, but break them down each individually?
We can do that. I don't see why not.
Okay. That's fine.
Okay, then I'd like to make a motion to accept the first recommendation for parent, Ms. Lorinda Elzey, for parents
Mr. Dominguez,
principal.
if I may interrupt.
Right.
Just
Okay.
a minute. I'd like to, I have a few things with the court order. I'd just like to read
Oh,
that
okay,
into the
okay.
record to make sure that it's in the record before we
Perfect.
get started, if that's okay. Good evening, Madam Chairwoman, Madam Superintendent, board members. All provisions of Order 866 for the administrative positions listed below were followed, properly advertised as outlined in the court order. Applicants were screened as outlined in the court order. Qualified applicants were reviewed and evaluated by a committee as outlined in the court order. And individuals outlined in the court order have been properly notified of the recommendation made by the superintendent. And at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Ms. Stilley.
Yes, I do have a couple things I'd like to add. You know, as Mr. Jenkins said, we did follow the court order through the posting of the advertisement, the interview process, and also the selection process. I did sit in on all the interviews as an observer only. I was not part of the committee, which I found to be very helpful. Also, each applicant was emailed and was offered an opportunity to come and sit with me and talk about why I recommended the individuals recommended and offer feedback to them on their interviews. And I know the board is well aware of this, but just for the public that would be watching this live, I just want to remind the public that in any other district in the state of Louisiana, personnel hires are not brought to the board at all for approval. But because our school district is operating under a court order, it does require the board's approval, not necessarily that the board agrees with the hire, but rather the board knows that all the court order processes and protocols were followed, which we did do this in this process. And so that is the reason we're recommending these individuals for the board to consider tonight.
Okay. Ms. Rose?
Okay, with the first recommendation for parent early learning center principal, I'd like to accept the recommendation for Lorinda Elzey.
Second.
Okay. It's been motion and second on Ms. Elzey. Ready to vote?
Electronic vote?
Yes, I called the vote.
Okay. Online voting is open.
Ms. Cindy? Yes.
Motion passes.
Madam Chairwoman, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the administration's recommendation for Ms. Shaughnessy Matthews for principal at Jules Sumner High School.
Second.
It's been motion and second. Any questions, concerns? We're ready to vote.
Online voting is open.
Ms. Cindy? Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. The last one, Ms. Anna Faye
Caminita.
Caminita.
I'll
Ponchatoula High School.
Ponchatoula.
make the motion that we accept administration's recommendation for Ms. Anna Kamamita for principal of Ponchatoula High School.
Do we have a second? Second.
Who's second?
Second.
Who seconded?
We don't have
Not
one.
me.
You want, well, I made the motion.
Okay.
Would you like me to take
Second.
over?
Yeah.
Okay, taking over personnel meeting for Ms. Richards. We have a motion on the floor with no second from Ms. Anna Kamamita for principal for Ponchatoula High School. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Richards. We have a motion and a second on the floor to accept the administration's recommendation for Ms. Kamamita for principal of Ponchatoula High School. Any discussion?
Oh,
Ms.
Okay.
Speak. Ms. Rose.
nothing against the recommendation or the person, but I just feel that, I know the superintendent has full autonomy because of the new laws with Act One and Bobby Jindal's, legislation, and, that's all that, but I just feel that for my community, we had several people that were really qualified and had worked for 30 years plus or 28 years plus to work to be the principal, and I just feel that it's not fair to pass over some of our great employees and not present them with the opportunity to be principal after they've worked for their whole career to do that. And I just can in good conscience, nothing against the lady or, the superintendent's authority, but it's my community and my school, and I just feel that it's the right thing to do to support and push our own people who've worked for 30 years to be the principals. And I just don't like the idea that we're passing someone over. And I hope the lady, gets a job, whatever, if she gets a job, that she'll do great, because we need a great principal there at Ponchatoula High School. But in good conscience, I just absolutely cannot vote to not support my community.
Okay.
I would like to make a comment
Go ahead.
on this as well. Last year, when we hired Miss Anna Faye at LaRonja High School, I felt the same way that Rose feels right now, because we had applicants that were from LaRonja that had been in our school system for quite some time. Miss Anna Faye has done an amazing job at LaRonja, and I feel like her what she is going to bring to Ponchatoula is going to be great. I just hope the citizens of Ponchatoula give her a chance. We opened our doors in LaRonja and gave her a chance, and she did an amazing job, and we're just hoping that we get someone just as great as she is in LaRonja after she's gone.
Other discussions?
Well, I can just say I understand what you're saying, but if you're living in Ponchatoula, she's only been there 1 year, she's barely got her feet wet, she's really, if she was doing so good, why are we disrupting that campus again after we just put her there for 1 year? I mean, it's just a lot of controversy to me that I would have liked to seen her stay there and continue the process that she's made already, and improve it, and, I just feel strongly that even though she's greatly qualified, our employees are greatly qualified too, and they're not being given the opportunity after 30 years of dedicated commitment to our system. And I just feel like we had some great candidates that are invested in the community, they're invested in our school, and, no offense to Ms. Tilley or the 100 years worth of educators that were on that committee. I mean no disrespect, but there again, I can't disrespect my own values and my own feeling, and the people that were really hoping that we would get a local person that had dedicated their whole life to our community to be our principal for our high school.
Can I say something?
Yes, please.
I just want to add here, I know I've shared this with the board, but, we had this process in place and that we followed the protocols. And part of this is many times there's several great applicants, okay? But we do have a process and protocol that we follow. The committee all supported Dr. Caminito as the person for Ponchatoula High School, as well as I. She has a proven track record of improving the schools that she leads. And in my opinion, and in the committee of the committee's opinion, she is head and shoulders above any applicant. While she's not directly from that community, we feel that she can get the job done and improve academic achievement at that school. So we stand on our recommendation. And, you know, I know that tonight I've shared with you the goals, and you'll look at 2 goals that were not achieved. They're in red, and both of those have to do with high school. And so it's very important to support the goals that we have in our school district, that we put individuals that we feel can help us meet the goals that we have set. And so that's our stance, and I would hope that this committee and the board would support our efforts to have an A school district.
Any other questions, Ms. Simmons?
I cannot be for this move. It's not any reflection on Ms. Stilley, because she makes wonderful recommendations, and I rest easy at night on what she recommends for the people that she puts into our schools. But I feel also, as being a representative of the Ponchatoula area, that when we have applicants that have paid their dues for years, like some of them 32 years, and have gone through the ranks and worked really, really hard, and we want to keep them here. We don't want them to go to St. Tammany or wherever they go to get more money. And when they're loyal and dedicated to the system, and when you see them at the football games and at the events in Ponchatoula pouring their hearts out, just like in Laranja, we wanted something like that there too. But then, you know, I just feel like we need to reward our people that have paid their dues and gone through the ranks for years, and we don't want them to leave. We don't want to have them go to another district. I also, too, Dr. Caminita has done a great job in Laranja, and we were in desperate need of somebody of that strong caliber. But I feel like 1 year also, it's kind of a double thing here. I feel like 1 year is not quite enough to get to Laranja to the place that it needs to get to under that strong leadership that she provided. And I know we're rewarding her by giving her an advancement, I guess, to a degree. But still, you know, I just wonder what it does for the school that she has to leave, who is already adjusted to having this strong leadership with this individual. And then in Ponchatoula, I wonder what the folks think that we represent, and I'm one of them, about not rewarding our people that have gone through the ranks. And the thing of it is, it's not that these others, or some of the others, especially one individual, is not qualified, or, you know, very, very well qualified, not a doctorate, but in every other respect. And so I would not be saying these things if I didn't think that this other individual was more, or was qualified to be able to handle this principalship at the school. So I just have to say that, because I prayed a lot about it when I heard how this was going to go down, and I just feel in my heart that I have to speak the conscience of the people that I represent. And it's not for votes. You know, I'm not concerned about that. It's because I feel like I know how they feel about providing a place for our people that have been through all the ranks and going through all they have to go through to be able to get a job in their particular communities. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll just say one quick thing, that surrounded by people that I respect and opinions that I respect, and I have a lot of love for all of you, but this is one of the reasons why the state took this off of our shoulder, because they wanted the politics out of the decisions and let the administrators run the school system. And I have fought against one other thing years ago when someone I felt was not qualified and I didn't think the process was proper. That was the leg that I stood on then. As long as the person is qualified, I have to trust that the superintendent's doing what she needs to do to improve our schools, which is a reflection of her contract and her pay. So, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Glenn.
I just had one question, Ms. Stilley. Was it a unanimous recommendation of the committee?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
I'm also going to turn it back over to Ms. Janice, since she is the chair of personnel.
Mr. Moore.
Okay. You know, I would just like, I'm sitting here, and I'm not even, you know, a member of the committee who's going to be making the decision, but ultimately, this is about giving our children the absolute best that we can afford them. I've spoken with Ms. Stilley. about this lady's qualifications, and she seems to be the most qualified. I do believe also in upholding, the members of our teachers and the other members of the administration that have been faithful and have been with us for a long time, and they do need to be rewarded. I agree. But ultimately, it's about, where are we going to get the best results for our kids? And for me, that would probably be the bottom line in, making the decision here.
Okay. Mr. Jenkins? Okay. Are we ready to take it to a vote?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yes. Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
That's,
Any other things, or?
no, ma'am, that's.
I'll just do a question. At this point, do we know how many people have filed to retire? Are we going to, do you know if we're going to have a lot of returnovers besides these 3 positions?
As of 5:26 on today, this is the,
This is his standard answer.
no other principal has indicated that he or she is going to retire.
Okay. And in the case of, I saw on the paperwork, these principals would take over July 1, but I thought that, I know Mr. Strickland's for Punch Hill High, I thought was July 30th was his retirement actual date. So how does that work?
Well, and the actual July 1 date will be when the pay will start. These principals, and I know Ms. Shaughnessy, when she will be released from her school, if her district will release her 2 weeks early or whatever the case is, we will get her to Sumner, just as we'll get Ms. Lorinda Elsie to Perrin, and Dr. Caminita will be doing double duty back at Laranja and at Ponchatoula High. So we're going to get them at their new schools as quickly as possible to get them working with master schedules, et cetera, helping them hire individuals and so forth.
So will they work that 30 days together, more or less, if Mr. Strickland's time is technically not up until the end of July?
I guess in a perfect world, they would work together, but I would imagine that, Mr. Strickland has some sick days that he would want to take.
Just curious. I mean,
Yes, ma'am.
we're double, in other words, it'll be a double position there.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay.
This includes personnel committee?
Almost time to go get something to eat.